All right, let's get into it. The world is spinning faster than ever, and the people pulling the strings are hoping you're too dizzy to notice. But we're going to slow it down and look at what's really happening. I'm Andrew Meet Rich. For years, I was on the inside of a major media corporation, and I saw firsthand how the news gets shaped to serve an agenda, not to inform you. I had enough, so I left. Now I'm independent, speaking directly to you, and together we're going to uncover the truth. If you value that, if you believe in independent analysis, then hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you can, consider becoming a sponsor. Every bit of support helps me stay on the air and keep this platform free from corporate influence. It's you and me against the narrative. Let's start with what's buzzing across the UK and the rest of Europe, because it's a seismic shift that's been set in motion. After months of relentless pressure, Donald Trump has completely flipped the script on Ukraine, and it's sending shockwaves through the corridors of power in London, Brussels, and beyond. He stood before the world and declared that Ukraine can and should fight to win back all of its territory. On the surface, that sounds like great news, a huge boost for Kyiv, right? Well, not so fast. The devil, as always, is in the details. Trump added a crucial little phrase, "with the help of the European community." And just like that, the entire game has changed. The most influential media outlets in Britain immediately saw this for what it is. This isn't a sudden burst of renewed American commitment. No, this is a masterful piece of political maneuvering. It's an attempt to shift the entire burden, the cost, the responsibility for Ukraine's defense squarely onto the shoulders of Europe. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who is nobody's fool, came out and said it plainly. He tweeted, "Behind this surprising optimism lies an announcement of less US involvement and a transfer of responsibility for ending the war to Europe." He ended his message with a chillingly accurate line, "Better the truth than illusions." He's right. The illusion of unwavering American leadership is fading, and the harsh reality of what comes next is starting to set in. Are you seeing the bigger picture here? The United States is stepping back, and Europe is being pushed front and center. While some leaders, like Estonia's Kaja Kallas, publicly celebrated Trump's words, behind the scenes, the mood is much darker. European officials are telling British journalists that they know exactly what this means. It means America is outsourcing the problem, and that means Europe has to pay. It means governments will have to tighten the belts, as they say, squeezing their own budgets and their own citizens to foot the bill for the war. And what happens when you squeeze the public? You get a backlash. This move is practically guaranteed to fuel a massive surge in popularity for right-wing parties across the continent. You can already see the writing on the wall. The approval ratings for mainstream leaders like Keir Starmer in the UK, Emmanuel Macron in France, and Olaf Scholz in Germany are already tanking. This couldn't be a more perfect scenario for the United States, which, by the way, remains comfortably in the black, with its revenues continuing to climb. Trump was under immense pressure from his political opponents, who fought his plans at every turn, saying one thing to his face and another behind his back. Well, he just called their bluff. He stepped aside and essentially told Europe, "You wanted to lead? Go ahead, lead." It's a brilliant, if ruthless, move. We are now watching a tectonic shift in global power dynamics play out in real time, and believe me, it's not going to be a smooth ride. We need to keep a close eye on this. And if you want a perfect example of the hypocrisy and double standards that Trump called out in his speech, look no further than Manfred Weber. He's the leader of the European People's Party in the European Parliament, one of the most powerful political groups in Brussels, and home to none other than Ursula von der Leyen. Weber went on a German talk show, and the host, Markus Lanz, asked him about Trump's explosive UN speech, where he accused European leaders of playing a double game, claiming to be at war with Russia while still buying billions in Russian oil and gas. And what was Weber's response? He admitted he hadn't even seen the speech. Can you believe that? The leader of the largest party in the European Parliament couldn't be bothered to watch a speech where the US president directly called out Europe's entire strategy. He tried to brush it off, saying, even if he says something, we don't know if it will be relevant in a week. What a pathetic excuse. The host pressed him, asking if he knew what the sharpest point of Trump's criticism was. Weber looked completely lost. "No, I don't know what you're talking about," he stammered. The host had to spell it out for him. reminding him that Trump was furious that Europe was still funding Putin's war machine. And when the host dropped the number, a staggering 40 billion euros in energy purchases, Weber just started dodging and weaving, refusing to address the facts. This is the leadership of Europe, folks. A man who is either completely uninformed or is deliberately playing dumb. It's an absolute disgrace and proves Trump's point better than Trump ever could. This is why people are losing faith in the establishment. This transparency is a joke. This is the man who leads the same political family as the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. They are in lockstep. Instead of just being honest and saying, look, we're playing a double game, we have our reasons, they insult our intelligence with these denials. Weber's performance was a masterclass in evasion, and all he did was make things worse for himself and his party. So, don't be shocked when you see right-wing parties continue to gain ground in the next elections. The mainstream is practically handing them the victory. Now let's zoom in on Germany, the supposed engine of Europe, where things are frankly falling apart. The government is in a state of paralysis. Chancellor Scholz's grand promise of an autumn of reforms has turned into a complete fantasy. In fact, within his own coalition partners' party, the CDU, there's growing discontent. The parliamentary leader, Jens Spahn, has issued an internal order telling his colleagues to stop talking about this autumn of reforms because it's not happening. He's trying to manage expectations downwards because the truth is no serious reforms are expected before early 2026, if ever. The Minister of Labour isn't even planning to present his ideas until next spring. So while they offer a tiny crumb of comfort, like a small increase in travel allowances next year, the bigger picture is one of total stagnation. And this political failure has very real consequences for the German people. While the government is stuck in neutral, the German economy is getting hammered. The world-renowned company Bosch, a giant in engineering and technology, is planning massive layoffs. We're not talking about a few hundred jobs here and there. The number is expected to be in the 5 figures. This is on top of the 9,000 job cuts the company already announced in Germany last year. Things are far, far worse than anyone was admitting just a short while ago. This is a devastating blow to German industry and a terrifying sign of what's to come. And the chaos doesn't stop there. The main airport in the capital, Berlin, is still operating in emergency mode, days after a major cyber attack on September 19th. Flights are being cancelled daily. The attack targeted an American company that provides key systems for airports, and it didn't just hit Berlin. It caused disruptions in Brussels, Dublin, and even London. They still have no idea who is behind it, which is incredibly concerning. On top of that, you have a bizarre legal scandal unfolding in Berlin. A judge, Philipp Bergholz, gave an incredibly soft sentence, just a small fine, to a pro-Palestinian activist who was filmed assailing police officers while chanting the banned slogan, "From the river to the sea." But it gets worse. The judge reportedly praised the activist in court, saying, "I want to express my respect for how you stand up. You probably say what many people have on their minds." This is beyond belief. A judge is essentially congratulating someone for breaking the law and chanting a slogan widely seen as a call for the destruction of Israel. Now, thankfully, there's been a pushback. A retired senior lawyer, an 82-year-old man named Thomas Walder, has filed a formal complaint against the judge, accusing him of showing personal sympathy to the accused and violating the basic principles of judicial ethics. The prosecutor's office has also appealed the ruling, insisting that the slogan is a criminal offense. We'll have to watch how this one ends, but it speaks volumes about the deep ideological cracks forming within German society. But hey, it's not all bad news out of Germany. In a story that sounds almost like a parody, the great doner kebab war has finally come to an end. For over 3 years, Turkey has been trying to get the European Commission to register the doner as a traditional delicacy. This would have meant that it could only be made according to strict Turkish recipes. That would have outlawed the German-style doner kebab, with its unique meats, sauces, and salads, which is a beloved staple across the country. This wasn't a small issue. It threatened the existence of around 18,500 doner shops in Germany. Experts estimated that up to 90% of them would have lost the right to call their food a doner. But just a few days ago, Turkey officially withdrew its application. Germany won. It was a victory for cultural adaptation and, let's be honest, for common sense. It seems the German doner is safe, for now. So let's quickly recap what we've covered. First, Donald Trump has completely changed the game on the war in Ukraine, effectively telling Europe that from now on, it's their problem to solve and their bill to pay. Second, top EU leaders like Manfred Weber are being exposed for their stunning hypocrisy, publicly condemning Russia while privately funding its war chest and then lying about it on national television. And third, Germany, the powerhouse of Europe, is mired in political paralysis, facing massive economic layoffs, and dealing with bizarre internal social and legal conflicts. It's a continent in turmoil, facing a crisis of leadership from within and a massive shift in responsibility from its primary ally. Things are moving fast, and you can be sure the mainstream media will try to spin this in a million different ways. But here, we stick to the facts and connect the dots. If you believe in this mission, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. And if you're in a position to do so, I'd be incredibly grateful if you'd consider becoming a channel sponsor. Your support is what keeps this independent voice alive. I'll be back tomorrow because you know there's always more to the story.